loves. Welcome back to Chemistry with Kismet Tarot. I'm Monica, the Kismet Chemist. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Welcome to the family. It's an honor to have you here. If you're returning, welcome back. I have missed you. My loves, we are doing something very unique, very different. And we are going to get the answer. So we have the answers here in front of us. These are the answers. And I'm going to elaborate upon the answers, but we don't know the question. So this is a mystery reading in a way. Spirit wants to bring to light the questions, the focus upon the answers that you have been given most recently. So we have a series of we've got two different cards here. So the and deck, the self edition of the and, what we're doing with these is these are going to cover the question that these are answering. These empowering questions, we're going to get 3 of them at the end of each of the piles. And those 3 questions, you're encouraged to pick one of the 3 in relation to the way that the reading resonated with you, and the one singular question that will help you take it further for yourself. I get the sense of working together and independently simultaneously, because when we realize that we are a part of a team, but also that we are strong and capable on our own, we actually have the greatest amount of growth and progress. So we have 3 piles, and they are signified by each individual card from the Divination of the Ancients Oracle deck right here. So I will give you guys some time, some meditation music, some bird songs. Allow yourself to get into the flow of the reading, to get into your reflective state, your inner state, and ask yourself, what answer has the world been presenting to you consistently based off of the cards that you see and the energies that are pulling to you? And your guides will be waiting for you at each of your piles to help navigate you through from there. So without further ado, the timestamps are in the description box below, and I will see you at your piles. Hello, pile 1. If you chose the first card, the card Dictionary with Communication, this is your Q&A with your guides, your life. So the first question that came out was, how will doing this change me? And I asked for a little bit more context in regards to that. And the second question that came out is, how would I describe myself to a vision impaired person? And then the picture kind of started becoming ever more clear. So I went and picked up my stepson yesterday, and he goes to school out of town. And so on our way home, it's about a 15-20 minute drive. When we are on our way home, I sit and I talk to him about the different things that he learned in school, if he learns anything in school. Because if you guys have kids, you know, when you ask them, what did you learn today? A lot of the time the answer is nothing. But he and I were talking, and he said that he has this tendency to kind of tune English out when he's in English class, because it feels like they go over the same thing on repeat. But what he's supposed to do right now is create a scene in words, create a picture in words. So he is supposed to be very descriptive without being very specific. So it's like a descriptive vagueness kind of thing. And that's interesting to me. But I thought it was even better because he and I were talking about this after I had gotten the cards for this pile. And I thought that was so great, because a lot of what he's doing in school is what your guides are talking to you about. They are helping you. So if you're noticing a lot of themes in your life around communication, conversations, things said, words spoken, intonation, connotation, colloquialisms, all of these different aspects that go into what we say, how we say it, when we say it, where we say it, and who we say it to and really thinking like, did what I say translate? Did what I say make sense? What your guides are asking you to consider is, how descriptive are you being? Are you giving the image, the impression, the idea of something, or are you giving them an entire sense-oriented experience of what your reality is? How will doing this change you? I don't know about the rest of you, but I know that in my life, I have gone through a lot of situations in which I have had to think and consider and reconsider and word and reword a lot of the way that I talk. Always feeling like my brain is wired too differently. And if I just find the right words and the right combination, then someone somewhere will eventually understand me. And while that might be true, does that necessarily mean that I'm being authentic, or am I just pandering to other people because that's the way that they understand it? If I paint a bright enough picture, a more specific, more focused picture, is it not possible that they can understand? So pile one, your guides are asking you to think about the way that you communicate. Are you being completely open? And we can think, oh, I'm being honest. Sure. We can be honest while also not being open. So we can tell the truth, but not tell the full truth. And it's not that we're intentionally hiding things. It's that we're not portraying the truth with the full scope of what we see the world through, that lens that we see the world through. So how you would describe yourself to a vision impaired person, you have to create for this person something that they cannot ever see, which means your words are the totality of who you are in existence, in their mind, in their recollection, in their memories. So they can hear your voice, they can hear the emotionality. So if you describe yourself in a certain way, they can hear whether you love yourself or hate yourself. They can hear it in your voice without you even saying those words. How will doing this change me? It will show you things that your eyes cannot see. that your ears hear, but your mind won't comprehend because your eyes see something different. And so that dissonance, that dichotomy between the ears and the eyes, keep you at this perpetual state of honest but not open. So your guides want you to think about areas of your life where you feel like you aren't being heard, you aren't being understood, there's a lack of communication, comprehension, and cohesion in some way, shape, or form somewhere in your life. Think about how you can explain yourself in a way that helps fill the senses of the other person. So one thing that I do with my kids, with my husband, in the nature of teaching them what it means to be completely empathetic the way that I am. So it's not just about it's not just about having empathy or being empathetic. It's about being an empath. Sometimes it's hard for other people to understand what an empath is. So what I do is I say, what if this was you? What if you were me and I was you? And that's not specific enough. So I say, and I did this. I engaged in this activity. I wanted this and I felt this and it was this and that. And over time doing that, I paint this picture that is entirely focused upon the emotionality of the impact of actions. I don't have to say what the emotional impact is because they now are experiencing it. And in doing that, now I am understood on a different level because sometimes our emotions are hard to comprehend, let alone communicate. So if we can create the scenario that helps another person feel the way that we feel, now we are connecting on a level of unspoken communication through spoken communication. And it might seem strange, but what it's there for is to help us grow. Ask yourself, what is it going to change in my life if I were to be that open? If I were to be that emotionally open with another person? We all have that person in mind, that person that we're thinking of, that person that we could have been emotional with, or that we chose to close ourselves off to in some way, shape, or form. Even it could even be ourselves. It could absolutely be ourselves. A lot of the time it is about both. Because when we are closed off to another person, that oftentimes is a reflection of the ways in which we're closing ourselves off to ourselves. So ask yourself, where in my life am I doing this? What if I took a chance and took my communication to a different level, to a different scope? What if I looked at the world through the lens of myself and then shared that lens with other people by helping them see their actions as though I were taking those actions? And how would they feel? A lot of the time, this isn't about changing ourselves. It's about helping ourselves learn how to grow within the context and within the guidelines of our interpersonal relationships and our place in the world, really. So you're being asked to reconsider the way that you communicate. Think about the way that you, define certain things in your life and whether those definitions are serving you or serving others. Think about the things that you know or the things that you think that you know and the conflict that you find with another person when you're trying to communicate those things because they know something different. What if both things could exist at the same time? What if you could know something for certain and someone could say, no, it's not that way, it's this way, and they could know for certain, and both of your certainties are correct? Because what you both think that you know has nothing to do with actual tangibility. It is about the emotionality, and everybody's emotions are correct. They don't always react correctly, but they are correct in how they feel. And in that, I am pretty sure I'm being very vague, and I feel like I'm meant to be very vague because a lot of this has to do with you learning how you need to communicate, what it is that you need to say, what your voice is yearning to speak. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and flip these 3 empowering questions. And if you guys skip the intro, not a big deal. It might make this reading a little bit confusing, but there are 3 empowering questions that your guides want you to take moving forward from this reading, but they only want you to take one. The one singular question that is absolutely pertinent to you at this time. Don't overload yourself. Keep it simple. So let's go ahead and take a look. We have, what is my instinct telling me to do? Okay. Next, we have, what kinds of feelings am I feeling right now? What kinds of metaphors can I find to describe my feelings? I freaking love this, you guys. I'm in love with these questions for you. What is my mission in life? Oh, I'm excited. If you guys feel like sharing what you chose, what answers you're finding within yourself, and with the small amount of guidance on the Q&A portion, please do go put a post up on the community page. You guys can go ahead and, use that community page all you want. I think that would be great. Or you can put it in the comment section below. But pile 1, this is the questions to your answer that your guides have for you today. So I want to take this time to say thank you for being here. Thank you to your guides, my guides, the Great Spirit. Thank you for connecting us all together so that these messages could flow through this understanding, awareness, and the potential for growth could be highlighted. May the collective of pile 1 take from this exactly as they are meant to and move forward in growth, harmony, and happiness. Thank you. Pile 1, if this resonated and you would like to support my channel, awesome. You can do the YouTube things, like, comment, share, subscribe, and watch out for my next video. It will be coming out soon. And from here, I am going to leave you. I love you all. Bye. Hello, pile 2. If you chose the second card, the crystal ball with the word clarity on it, this is your message about the Q&A that is going on with your guides in your life for giving you some clarity yourself. I'm just going to kind of cut right into it, pile 2. This message is actually brought more to you by my best friend in spirit, Jeremy. Jeremy is my friend who recently ended his own life back in April, and he was my little brother, the one that I chose in this life. And every day without him has been hard. Every day without him has been hard, but knowing what I know about the way that his life ended, about what happened after he was gone, the things that came to light, the clarity that was found in the worst ways, the way that it changed things after the fact. And the fact that there could be no room for amelioration, for forgiveness, for growth, healing in the right ways, rather than learning these things through the art of not having him and having to let go in that way. Those are the things that are challenging. So the questions that your guides have been presenting to you to try and bring this clarity to light have been, what am I hiding? And if I do this, how will it change my eulogy? And this is some really hard energy. This is a really hard portion of the journey of life. It's that part where we understand the absolution of our mortality in this life, in this body, in this form. No matter what, at some point in time, we will die. Not one single person in this world is not susceptible to the fact of death. the truth of death, the act of death. So when we think about, if I do this, how will it change my eulogy? What am I hiding? Your guides are trying to bring you clarity upon perhaps temptations that you're facing in your life. Perhaps it's about continuing to hold on to secrets that somehow end up having their own way forward. We can try and keep secrets. We can. I've seen it so many times I can't count. But eventually those secrets come to light. Whether we want them to or not, the secrets come to light. Sometimes the things that we hide are things that we're pushing down about ourselves, and we don't let the world see it, and we fear the world seeing it. And so then we go through this life, and then when our life ends, people sit there and they talk at our funeral and they talk about what a great person we were and what we did with this and what we did with that. And our souls realize that the people that are talking about us didn't actually ever really know us, because we didn't allow them to know us, because we didn't allow ourselves to know us. So this doesn't have to be us doing some sort of wrong in some way, shape, or form. This could be just hiding pieces of yourself, from others. I think about over the past few years, really since August 29th of 2022, this understanding, awareness, this comprehension of just how short life really is. And it isn't that I haven't faced death in a multitude of ways. I mean, I've been sick and almost died. I was 10 years old when I was sitting next to death, as my father died in my hands. I was holding him as he died. I was born carrying death because in the womb, my twin brother and twin sister both died, and I carry their genetics inside of me. I carry death with me. I have since the moment I took my first breath and before. So I'm not a stranger to death. I have seen death come for the people that I love when they are barely babies, in the sense of like my cousin who was 30 years old, brand newly married, 5 months pregnant, her and her unborn child died at the hands and the wheel of somebody else behind a vehicle used as a weapon. I'm no stranger to death, but since August 29th of 2022, I have realized how consuming death is. Because with death is grief, and we don't like to deal with grief. We don't like to feel grief. And then I thought long and hard about all the things, conversations, suppositions, flirtations that were shared between me and my high school best friend, who also was a guy that I dated for a while. And how as we grew up, and I got married the first time and had kids, and he was in these long committed relationships, and then he was getting out of these long committed relationships. And I was friends with him and his long-term girlfriend, and I didn't know his fiance towards the end. But I was involved a lot in his life, in his breakup. I was not in the sense of like it was my fault, but more like I was there for both of them, wanting to see him be happy, but at the same time understanding and knowing that one thing that he and I both hid was that we were not naive to the fact that I was the one that got away for him. There were times where he was very brazen about telling me that. It was never the right thing for him and I in this life. And I think about the different conversations we had and the way that I betrayed my own morality because I engaged in allowing him to feel the way that he did without closing that door entirely, partly because I was in a toxic marriage and partly because I have always and will always love him in a way that is very unique to me and him. But I thought about all the things, all the secrets that he and I kept together. The dynamic that was just very specific to him and I. And I thought about a lifetime's worth of unsaid words and how actions that we took led us on our paths, and his ultimately led to his own death. And not by his own hand, but because he decided to grow beyond what he came from. Sometimes we have these desires in our heart, and these desires are going to take us beyond anything that we've ever known. And as we do that, it changes things. We never know what the change is going to be, but not all of us think about what we leave behind within another person when we go. It was that thought that Justin's death brought to me. And it was that thought turned into a very viscerally painful reality when Jeremy died. That led me to having conversations I never thought I would have about how my mom would want to be remembered, how my stepfather would want to be remembered, about making sure that I know what their wishes are for the end of their lives so that I can honor those wishes in my capacity, in my role. Sometimes our guides bring us these reality points, these visceral, in your face, unavoidable, time to pull on the big boy pants or the big girl pants and face this, because what we do in this life leaves a mark, whether we like it or not. And whether it's a positive or a negative mark, we don't get to decide that. Other people decide that. And so when we don't take other people into consideration, we live perpetually for ourselves and our image, hiding ourselves away. We don't actually provide the world with clarity. We provide a storm. We provide chaos. And when we leave, it's that the rumbling that was heard while we were alive starts striking down. Tornadoes, hurricanes, lightning, and the destruction is something that can't be denied. Our choices determine the path and the mark that we leave behind in this life. And your guides want you to be aware of that, not because you're dying, but because it matters the life that you live. It matters the life that you live. So now is the time to ask yourself, what am I hiding? Is it worth it to keep hiding it? Is there an importance to holding this to myself, to keeping this from myself or from the world or from this person or that person or what have you? What am I hiding? Why am I hiding it? If I keep hiding it, how will it change the mark that I leave behind? If I reveal it, how will it change the mark that I leave behind? Saying, how will it change my eulogy, is one of the most brazenly blunt ways of saying, when you die, the words that are spoken about you, you don't get to control. And when you hide things, those things eventually come to light. Whether or not you're alive, a lot of posthumous revelations end up happening. And it's in those moments that the mark that we leave behind can turn into pain instead of healing. We have control over that part. How we live, who we are, the authenticity, the honesty, transparency, and accountability that we live in. That's what your guides are trying to give you clarity on. In whatever way it is that they're showing you, they're telling you that your life matters, what you do here matters, and that you are leaving a mark behind on the hearts and the souls of many. Whether any of us like it or not, we were born into an age in which our impact is far greater than it would have been if we had been born into a world 20 years prior to the year that we were born. If I had been born in the 60s instead, my life would be significantly different. I would have significantly less of an impact because I wouldn't have grown up in a digital age. I would have been one of those old fogies during the digital age, similar to my mom. Yes, I'm calling my mom an old fogey. Yes, she is. She's in her 70s. It counts. When we are born, where we are born, determines the mark that we leave. And right now we live in a day and an age in which our interactions are so much more widespread. And it's designed that way because we keep talking about this wholeness. We are all one. We are all one, and yet we drive division. Part of the way that we drive division is by our silence and our lies. So your guides want you to have this clarity. They want you to understand the rumblings that you can hear, because those rumblings mean a storm is coming. And whether or not you are here for the storm or you are the cause of the storm will hit. So what is it that you are holding on to and keeping from the light that is ready to come forth? It's in your shadow. It's there. All you have to do is dig. Your guides are giving you bits and pieces of it. There's a clarity here. The purpose of this is to help you understand the importance of your life. No life is unimportant. Every life will leave a mark. The mark that we leave depends on what we hide and what we bring to light, how we operate, who we are, and the way that we navigate this entire thing we call life. So, pile 2. Let's find out what these questions are. And if you guys skip the intro, not a problem. Again, I say this just like I said it in pile 1. It may make what the whole context of everything that we're doing in this reading a little bit confusing. Might not. You might have caught on. But regardless, there are 3 questions. These empowering questions, I'm not divining. They are questions from your guides for you. And your guides universally have asked that all of the collectives pick you, each one of you in the collective picks one question. Pick one question that helps open up this the context of what we've been talking about. Something for you to take with you as you move forward. Ask yourself this, journal about it, talk about it with your guides, pray about it, think about it, reflect on it, contemplate it, and allow yourself to grow even more as a soul and as a person. These questions are here to help you, not to harm you. But your guides are being very clear, pile 2, about you being honest with yourself this time. Oh, I hate being the bearer of messages like this. And at the same time, I love it because I know that these messages are important. These are the most important messages. So let's get your questions. What is my worst fear and how does it limit my possibilities in life? They are not holding back. All right. Oh my good Lord. I swear to you, I do not read these. How would I want people to remember me when I'm no longer here? How will it change my eulogy? What is it that I want to be remembered for? And if I want to be remembered for that, what do I need to change? Sorry, I know I said I wasn't going to divine it, but my God. Wow. Okay, let's get. What would happen if I didn't try to control my future? Wow. Pile 2, your guides are done here. Wow. Okay. Pile 2, please, if you guys are feeling up to it, if you are wanting to have a safe space to bring forth some of this stuff that you're carrying within you, please feel free to use the community tab. Feel free to use the comment section below. I think it would be really great for us to start navigating this open healing forum within our community here. So I encourage you to do that. With that said, I'm going to leave you guys here. I want to say thank you first before we close up. Thank you to your guides, to my guides, to the Great Spirit for helping facilitate connecting these energies and allowing these messages to flow through, even as difficult as they are. I understand the importance and the power and the potency of messages like this, moments like this, connections like this. And I want to say thank you so much, because it's an honor to be able to be the one to bring these messages forth, even as painful as they may be. Thank you. Pile 2, if this resonated and you want to support my channel, super cool, awesome. You can do that by doing all those fun YouTube things. You can like, comment, share, and subscribe to this video, to the channel, the whole 9. With all that being said, I am going to leave you guys here, let you guys do some reflecting. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here, and thank you for seeing through this message to the end for your sake more than anybody else's. Thank you. All right, my loves, I'll see you at my next reading. Bye. Hello, pile 3. If you chose the third card, the I Ching and Change card, this is your message about the Q&A from your guides. So the answer that we're working with is the I Ching and Change. Change in this sense is one of the most ancient truths, ancient constants that the world knows. Sometimes changes are for the better. Sometimes they are more of a challenge, but they're always there to help us learn and help us grow. The I Ching correlates also to human design. It correlates to gene keys. It correlates to astrology and a vast number of things. And it's a very simple hexagon or hexagram. It has 6 lines, and each hexagram has a top and a bottom trigram, and they have male and female lines, and each one correlates to a different number, 1 through 64, with a combination of different elements, such as, the mountain and the thunder, or the heaven or sky and the earth, things of that nature. And as these pieces get put together, they form an image, a message, a story. And when we move from one hexagram to another hexagram, we look at the changing lines. So in this way, we have 2 different questions for you guys that your guides are asking you to move from one to the other and back again, and think about the way that things change within you, as though they are changing lines in a hexagram. They are changing from masculine to feminine principles. They are changing from a mountain to a river, things of that nature, things in which where once there was a blockage, there is now flow. Where once there was flow, there is now stability. And we're looking at these 2 questions, and it's asking us to think about ways that we can change the answer to these questions in order to help ourselves understand ourselves even more. Now, a lot of you, the energy surrounding your questions actually feels like it has a lot to do with the external world. So this is about making a conscious decision to use the reflections of the external world in order to help you grow. In that way, we can feel as though we're being a little bit manipulative, or as though we might be projecting outward, but your guides are saying we have set up certain situations for you in order for you to reflect deeper within yourself about what it is that we're showing you, and we're showing you through other people. So the first question is, how do I wish others would describe me to a vision impaired person? So say, for instance, I am considered a vision impaired person. If I were to take out my contacts or not have my glasses on, I would be legally blind in one of my eyes. I would see maybe 2 feet in front of me clearly. And anything beyond that would be very, very fuzzy. And I am using 2 feet very generously, because I don't think it would be even that far before the fuzz hit. I would not be able to see across a room, a very small room, and be able to see the other side very clearly, because I have such terrible eyesight. So say, for instance, I was walking through my life in that way, and somebody is pointing you out to me from across the street. I'm not going to be able to see you. So they're going to have to describe to me what you look like. Oftentimes, when we are describing somebody, we might use, the common descriptors. They're X tall and they have this color hair and this color eyes. But in reality, what we're talking about when we're describing a person, it's not just the basic principles of what makes them look like a human being. It's about the way that we operate in the world. How do we behave? How do we treat others? How do we treat ourselves? What have we done that people would know us by? And what does that say about who we are? Now, from that, and remember, this is about how you want people to describe you to someone who can't necessarily see the clarity of you. So when we are thinking about a vision impaired person, while the example I gave was me with my actual poor vision physically, sometimes a vision impaired person is just somebody who has a hard time seeing another person clearly. For many, many years, my oldest daughter, Haley, had a very hard time seeing me clearly. And I had a very hard time seeing her clearly. There was a lot of pain, a lot of wounds, a lot of trauma, a lot of insecurities and uncertainties. And we struggled a lot with communication. We didn't know how to talk to one another. So we did not see one another very clearly. In that way, we both were vision impaired people. And a lot of the times, my husband or my next child, my other daughter, Elizabeth, they needed to come in and help me to see Haley clearer, Haley to see me clearer. We had to really work at that so that we could come to the point where neither one of us were vision impaired. When we were looking at the other person, we were able to see the totality of the being, but that involved a lot of personal growth. Now, what area of personal growth is going to be different for everybody, but in this context with your guides, they ask you this next question. These are the two questions they want you to bounce between. The second question is, what makes me feel love? So if you are hoping that somebody describes you in this way to a vision impaired person, you're hoping that they are telling this person who has never seen you clearly in your life, to your knowledge, to your experience, you want them to see you in a way that allows for them to be able to better show you how they love you so that you can actually feel that love. And that's a noble thing. But in order to experience that feeling of love, we have to find out what it is that makes us feel love, and then how it is that we would want to present ourselves so that that is portrayed in how we are, who we are out in the world, so that when there are these conflicts, in order for us to welcome change into the dynamics of those conflicts, it's about us being true to ourselves and then saying, okay, this is the way in which I presented myself in this way, and this is why I presented myself in this way. And you help that other person understand that you're operating from the heart. And then the question really is are you operating from the heart, or are you trying to protect yourself? So if you're trying to protect yourself, are you doing that because you're afraid that this person isn't going to love you the way that you need to be loved? And we all have a different love language. And sometimes it's the simple act of knowing what your love language is and what someone else's love language is helps bridge that gap so that there isn't that conflict there of like, I don't understand because I don't speak that same language. So your guides are really asking you to think about perception and truth and the way that you move through the world. What is it that makes you feel love? And it's not just feeling love, but feeling loved. So you feel as though someone else loves you, but not just that. How do you feel love for anything or anyone? And how is that embodied so that the way that you are moving through the world, that way of operating through love or feeling love becomes ever more abundantly clear, so that when someone is describing you to someone who is struggling to see the truth of who you are, they are able to change the way that that person sees you, not because they're trying to influence that person, but because they're bringing forth the truth of who you are and your heart. So the real question here is, what is it that is changing within you and within your life that has you feeling as though you need to redefine or re-embody? It's almost like you need to reconceptualize love. And then with that reconceptualization, now embody that new truth, because in that way, that change that you make helps to illuminate and highlight the truth even better. And I see 1, 2, 3, 4 on my clock, which means this is about your growth, your progress moving forward. So without further ado, these messages are meant to be short. I know pile 2 went way longer than I intended, but the messages just kept flowing. For you guys, this feels very succinct. I also feel like you guys are connected to another pile, but I don't want to mention the pile in connection, because if you are, then you know. If you aren't, then you aren't. So we have these 3 questions down on the bottom. These are the empowering questions. If you missed the intro, not a problem. These 3 cards are intended to help expand upon the context of the Q&A session that we're doing here. And your guides have said, and this is like the one uniform thing that has stuck throughout this entire reading. The guides decided that they wanted to present 3 questions, but they want each one of you to pick only one. Yes, you can come back to the reading and pick another one in the time that is right, but they encourage you to pick one question and really spend some time with it. Reflect upon it, contemplate on it, talk about it, whether it's with another person, if it's through journaling, if you just do verbal communication with your guides, talk about it. Think about it before you get into the shower next, and let the water really kind of wash away any kind of psychic or spiritual or energetic interference, so that you can communicate with your guides a lot clearer, allowing this question to be the kind of platform that you guys come together and stand upon in order to kind of expand this, so that you understand, well, if I'm going through all these changes, how in the world am I supposed to understand how to feel the way that I normally feel? Like, how do I feel love? And I understand that, guys, because I'm struggling right now myself in my own ways with not just changes that are occurring in my life, but changes that are occurring in the world, and the overwhelm of feelings that I have about like me in the world and my purpose and all of that. Like, all of that all comes down to what makes me feel love and how do I embody that, and struggling because there are so many different things that are presenting to me, and things are moving too fast and changing too much too quickly for me to be able to feel like I can catch my breath. So even in a completely separate context in my life, I'm still experiencing a similar energy. We forget that we are all connected at times. And so when we seek to understand how all of these changes really mean something important, what we're really struggling with is, how are we feeling through that? And do we feel love? And how is it that we can feel love through the conflict, through the pain, through the confusion? Okay, well, that was an unexpected message, but I'm here for it. Let's get your empowering questions. What kind of advice on life would I give would my old self give to my current self? So this is about your future self, say you in the future when you're 80 years old. What would your 80-year-old self say to you now? What would I do if I had enough time? What do I do when I have time? A lot of this has to do with action that you're doing in your life. That's great. I love this. I love how multifaceted this particular message is. there's a linear nature to it, but this is actually significantly less linear than any of the other piles. This energy right here is like the lemniscat. It is that infinity symbol where you are just flowing between these energies. Everything is changing and going, but there's still the central point, which is your heart. Wow, what is my mission in life? Yeah, you guys are definitely connected to another pile. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. You guys are definitely connected to another pile. When we are struggling with the things surrounding, how am I seen? Am I being seen clearly for who I am? Am I presenting myself clearly as who I am? Do they see that I am moving from the heart? And if they don't see that, why? What is it that I'm blocking within my energetic field? Am I feeling love or am I feeling frustrated? Am I feeling love or am I feeling alone? Am I feeling love or am I feeling cast off, cast away, punished, cursed, what have you? What makes me feel love again? And it's hard to remember those things when we're in the throes of it. And especially when life just keeps changing over and over and over again and we can't keep track of it. It's hard. That's why your guides are here, trying to help you, trying to reach you, trying to give you a little bit more to go on. All right, my loves, that is the message that I have for you guys. I love you guys so much. I am sending you huge hugs. I want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you to your guides, my guides, the Great Spirit, for connecting these energies, facilitating the messages, allowing my channel to be a platform for the collective's growth and healing and awareness, self-awareness, interpersonal awareness. Thank you so much. It's always an honor and a blessing to work with the energies of the collective, especially those like Pile 3. I understand the struggle. I understand the energy, and I hope that I help them find a bridge to you through these messages. I hope they find their way and that they understand that I can feel the love that they are. Thank you. Pile 3, if this resonated and you want to support my channel, super dope. You can do that doing all the YouTube-y things. You can like, comment, share, subscribe. I have been encouraging each pile that if you feel so called and so inspired to sharing, this is a safe community for your growth, for your safety, for your confidence, and for you to share your path and journey healing. And I would love for you to feel free to utilize the community tab in that way. I am here. There are other members of the community that are here. And I strongly encourage everyone to lean on one another. This is a time for us to come together. When so many things and so many people are being pulled apart, now is the time for us to come together and to remember that we are a community and that we are here for one another. All right, Pile 3, that is where I am leaving you. I love you all. I will see you at my next reading. Bye.